What is up, everybody? Welcome to the UFC 303 Super Preview. It is International Fight Week. We have Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prochazka 2 in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas. We got a good card for you instead. We're going to go through every fight here of the main card. We were on here yesterday, Eric, talking about how just we thought about this fight week. Has anything changed from you in the last 24 hours of how you feel about this fight or of this card?
I've got to say I've eased up a little bit on the card itself. I'm starting to like it more. I was digging through the prelim fights a little bit. I mean, we've got Peyton Talbot on the prelims, who we've both been high on since his last fight. We've got a legend in Cub Swanson. We've got Joe Pyfer trying to make his comeback fight, I guess you could say, after getting his hype train derailed. So the prelims aren't as stacked as the last 2 years, but they're still good. I think it's still going to be a really good card. And the main card's pretty top notch besides the girl fight. And I think they could have easily swapped out the Cub Swanson fight for that girl fight or the Joe Pyfer fight, but they just want to keep a couple better ones on the prelims. But yeah, man, it still just ain't hitting the same as the last 2 years. I remember it was running through my head, but I was more excited for UFC.
This is our first International Fight Week. We're not together.
Yeah, that's facts, dude. That kind of hurts. I don't like that.
I know. Forgot about that. I forgot we were together for the Volk one. Or for the Izzy one.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah.
Volk and Izzy that night.
Alleged.
I was so hot. That low-key ruined my night. I remember after.
That's when Brad Riddell lost. That's when Brad Riddell lost too, and I was sick.
And then Pereira KO'd Strickland right after, though. That was badass.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. We'll kick things off right away with the first fight of the main card. Ian Machado Gary versus MVP. Ian Machado Gary coming in at -155, +130 as MVP. Interesting matchup here. I like this line. I went looking today, dive into this one. I like this line a lot. This is about what I would have it. But I don't know what I like here. I like MVP. He showed good stuff versus Holland. Obviously, the experience, his decorated striking. It's a really good matchup here. Really good matchup.
Yeah, I heard Ian Gary. He said, if you're a fan of striking, then this is going to be one of the sickest fights ever. And honestly, I can't really say he's wrong. You look at both of these guys, the way they fight, their styles, the way they get in and out. They're both counter strikers, I guess you could say. Very technical. MVP, he's a little out of his prime age-wise, but he still looked really fast in that last Kevin Holland fight. And then Ian Gary, probably not quite in his prime yet age-wise. So we've got the young buck versus the experienced vet. I like Ian Gary, or I mean, not Ian Gary. I like MVP here. I can't lie. It's a toss-up, but I just think MVP, he doesn't get hit as much as Gary. If you go watch Ian Gary's earlier fights in the UFC, there were times where he got clipped pretty good, and he has shown to have a solid chin so far, but when MVP starts getting in that flow, he's damn near unstoppable out there. And we all had our doubts before the Kevin Holland fight. Could he do this against UFC guys, against ranked UFC guys? And I think he put a lot of those doubters to rest against Kevin Holland. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ian Gary grapple a little bit. If things aren't going well for him on the feet, he's been at that Shoot to Box gym down in Brazil with Charles Oliveira, Diego Lima, head coach. So he's definitely got some grappling in his bag. And I would not be surprised if we see him resort to that and maybe find some success. Gary.
Yeah, this is definitely a striker masterclass here. It's really just what it's going to come down to. Who doesn't get hit most, who can avoid the big strike. It's really tough because obviously we got to respect MVP's resume, one of the most decorated strikers of all time. But then also you have Ian Gary, who's 14-0 on the come up and on a great win streak. So it's tough. One of these matchups where you really don't know. Anything could happen. I'm not surprised either way. I do think it goes the distance. If you're looking for a bet, I think it's a 3-round pick each other apart, just keep your distance, just striking masterclass. I think the over 2.5 is like minus 200, so no
Yeah,
value on that.
I was about to say that. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
but maybe throw that in a parlay or something, or whoever you think's gonna win, add that into the method. But yeah, this is a great one to start the night off. I'm excited for this one.
Dude, either way, we're going to get a top prospect, or not a prospect, but a top contender at this 170-pound division, because neither of these guys have 100% proved that they belong in the top of that welterweight division yet. But I think whoever wins this fight is going to prove that. I think that's what's at stake here. And
yeah, and you have to think if MVP wins, you know how much time left he's got to get a title eliminator.
100%. And Gary couldn't be more than 2 fights away if he beats MVP here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
a lot at stake here.
Big stakes. Honestly, almost every fight, or I guess 3 of the 5 fights on this main card have big stakes. And then Bueno Silva versus Chiasson, I guess that could be looked at as a title eliminator. One odds I had for the first fight, if you like Ian Gary, you could get him at plus 175 for winning by decision. So if I was to bet on Ian Gary, that's probably what I would do. But I'm going to
Who's more likely to win by knockout, MVP or Gary?
I think MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they both could knock each other out. I think
dude, it's one of these fights where obviously we know MVP's for real. He's a legend. But like if Gary wins this fight and looks good, he's a guy.
Mm-hmm. Especially only at 29 years old.
Yeah.
Welterweight's exciting right now. I was thinking about that on my way home from work today. I was like, bro, welterweight, they've got a good mix right now. They've got current guys at the top. They've got the lovable vets. They've got villains. And they've got young guys on the rise in that division. So it's an exciting weight class right now. All right, the next fight of the night.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I like this one. I just like there's a lot of value in this fight. Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson. Bueno Silva coming off her title loss to Raquel Pennington. Before that, she had a no contest with Holly Holm. Similar measurables here. Macy is a little bit taller. Obviously more reach, but as far as age-wise and where they are in their careers, they're pretty similar. I like the line, but I like Bueno Silva here. The reason why I like Bueno Silva is obviously she has that title fight experience. Chiasson coming off a knockout. Her last loss was knockout to Irene Aldana. But the reason why my value on this is Bueno Silva by sub. I think it's plus 280. Her last 2 wins have been by sub, and Macy's second to last loss was by sub. So just a little value there that I like. Obviously, if I'm gonna bet Silva just straight up to win, but if you want some value in that, I like Silva here by sub. Throw a little lunch money on that.
I'm gonna write that one down. Add it to my list. I like that. Yeah, I don't got much to say on this fight. Probably grab a beer, take a piss, get some food fight for me. Listen to our great commentating team, hear what they've got to say about it. This next fight of the night, though.
You could take away the next one. Go ahead.
Yeah, before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to talk about how this fight came to be. So originally, this spot on the card was supposed to be Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. And then Khalil Roundtree ended up getting suspended due to a failed drug test. Then after that, Carlos Ulberg stepped in for Khalil Roundtree, so it was Jamal Hill versus Carlos Ulberg. Then Jamal Hill hurt his knee, and Jamal Hill had to pull out. Then after that, it was Carlos Ulberg versus Anthony Smith. And then about a week ago, Carlos Ulberg withdrew. So now we've got Anthony Smith fighting Roman Dolidze, who's not even a light heavyweight. He's a middleweight. He's the only guy they could get to say yes. And he's coming up on short notice to take on Anthony Lionheart Smith. So a saga just to get this fight. I've got to say, I do not get this line. Maybe Vegas knows something we don't.
Yeah.
But is there something I'm missing here?
No, I mean, everything that I think you think why the line's off is the reason why I think it's off. Like, obviously, Anthony Smith experience at this division, experience in general. I just think like Delize's path to win has been like on the ground and like shooting takedowns and stuff, and I don't think he gets that here on Anthony Smith.
No. And Delize is coming off back-to-back losses to Marvin Vettori and Nasruddin Imavov, both top 10 fighters, but that's
Yeah.
at a weight class below.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It scares me. It really feels like a trap line, though, or a trap fight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think they value Anthony Smith as high as we do. So I don't think it's a trap. I just think it's off. I think it probably gets down to like closer to pick 'em, but yeah, I'm all over Anthony Smith on this one.
Hell yeah. But one thing about Anthony Smith, it's just never as it seems. Every time I've been super confident in Lionheart going into a fight, he finds a way to lose. And whenever I fade him, he finds a way to win. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of scared to lay down big chatter on Anthony Smith here. This just has disaster written all over it for me. But I think I'm going to do it. And the odds already have moved towards Smith because I made this graphic earlier today and I had plus 125 in there. And then on that picture, which was from like 30 minutes ago, he was down to plus 115. So if you want to bet Lionheart, I would do it ASAP. Unfortunately, I got to wait till payday.
Yeah, I agree.
It'd be like that. His next fight, an absolute banger. You want to take us away here?
We got Brian T. City Ortega versus Diego Lopez, a banger here at featherweight. A lot of implications on this fight. Ortega wins this one. He's back in the title picture. Lopez wins this. He's probably a title, one more fight away from cementing himself in the title conversation. Just a great matchup of new versus old age. Obviously, not that much of age difference, 4 years, but Ortega's been in the game a long time. Lopez, fairly new to the UFC. Yeah, it's one of these ones where it could go either way. You never know. It's all about who sets the tone. Me personally, I am all over Diego Lopez here just because I think it's his time. I think he's a high-level guy. I think he's a guy that competes for titles one day consistently, and if it's now, it's now. So what does scare me is Ortega's last two losses were to Volk and Holloway. Obviously, he had the loss to Yair when he got hurt, but then came back and subbed Yair. So Ortega's another level. He's one of those guys where we were like how we always used to talk about Max Holloway. How it's like it's literally Alex Holloway, big gap, everybody else. I think in this featherweight division, it's kind of like obviously now you have Topuria, but like he was that third guy for a long time with those with Holloway and Volkanovski's.
He had Volk in trouble. People tend to forget about that. He almost won the belt twice in that third or fourth round, whatever it was against Volk with those two submission attempts. Crazy.
Kind of like how we talked about Ian Gary, like if he can beat MVP. If Lopez wins this, he's for real.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think he's for real, even if he loses, but either way, man, this is going to be a banger of a fight. I've got something to read off. So of course, Tapology wants to come up with the ads now, but basically Diego Lopez my bad. I don't know why I got Lopes just locked in my head with him. I know it's Diego Lopez, but he made his UFC debut last May against Movsar Evloev, which was maybe the best loss in UFC history, or one of them, just the way his career's gone since then. That was an electric fight. And then he's rattled off 3 first-round finishes, all before the 2-minute mark against Gavin Tucker, Pat Sabatini, and Sodiq Yusuff. So this will be his 5th fight in basically a year, or in 13 months. So just respect to Diego Lopez for realizing that, like you said, his time is now, and he didn't let any of these opportunities pass him by. He said yes, picked up the phone, stayed busy. And I think if he wins this fight, he's got to be in the Fighter of the Year conversation. It doesn't really work out well with the timing because obviously that award's not for another 6 months. But this guy's just had a crazy run. Not beating top names, but I don't know. I think you got to look at him as a dark horse. And for my pick, I have a stab I'm going to take here. Diego Lopez to win in the first round, plus 400.
Whoa.
Yeah, here's my logic for it.
He
Brian
makes quick work.
Ortega, yeah, he's been a historically slow starter. We saw him in the Yair fight, in the Volk fights, in the Max fight. He usually gets it going in the second or third round, sometimes even the end of the first. And Diego Lopes is one of the fastest starters on the roster right now. So with those two things combined, in Ortega's age, he didn't have a full camp. It was a short notice fight. I think there's a chance Lopes clips him with something. I'm not going to put a lot on that, but I definitely plan on taking a stab there at Lopes in the first round plus 400. But if the fight goes into the second or third round, I think Ortega is going to be in a good spot. This is kind of like the grappling version of Gary versus MVP. Oh, my bad. What'd you say? I think we had a little lag.
Yeah.
This is like a MVP.
No, you kind of talked me into the first round.
You see the maths up here. Yeah, the grappling exchanges. I'm curious to see how they go because we've never seen Ortega get out grappled, and we kind of saw. I guess you could say Lopez got out grappled in the Evil fight in spots, but it wasn't lopsided or anything like that. He was throwing up submissions, so I think we're gonna see some insane scrambles and jiu-jitsu rolls, I guess you could say, with punches involved too. Some combat jiu-jitsu down there. And all right, the main event, the rematch. The line didn't move as much as we thought it would.
Yeah. Obviously, nothing needs to be said about these two guys. We all know who they are. I gotta say, bro. I was thinking while I was driving here to the studio. We're obviously gonna put my official bets up, and disclaimer: my official bet is Alex Pereira. I'm gonna put the money on Alex Pereira. You have to put the money on Alex Pereira. But I think, again, I don't want to say this because I don't want it to be like, oh well, it's a win-win. But like, I think Yuri gets it done.
Does it have to do with Pereira's broken toes?
Something just clicked in me today, and I was like, bro, like, I just think Yuri gets it done. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I feel like that. People forget Yuri had him rocked for a little bit.
Bro, in the countdown, when they were showing the first fight again, it's like, damn, bro, Yuri was moving forward. He had Pereira in some bad spots, and that was with his leg pretty much taken out in the first 20 seconds of the fight when Pereira landed like 2 leg kicks and Yuri was already limping from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has action.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think that's like the line is what it is. I think he has a lot of action, bro. I think he's fine.
And there's a clear path to victory for Yuri. It's not like the Jamal fight where Jamal would have had to outstrike Pereira. Yuri could take him down and land some nasty ground and pound on him, wear him out down there, go for submissions. Yeah. He could beat you on the feet or on the ground. And I heard Pereira say something in their first fight. He said he's so unorthodox, you don't really know like when he's going to do something. So obviously Pereira still ended up landing the knockout shots. But yeah, I think Yuri might give him some trouble.
Yeah.
It's exciting, dude.
Yeah, this is kind of what's got me excited for this because I think Yuri has a shot. And I think Yuri's going to kind of surprise people.
These two really kind of saved the light heavyweight division in a way. It was in a bad spot for a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. Pereira moving up and then Yuri being great like he is definitely saved light heavyweight. It was a bad spot for a while. We had like Glover and the champion and as the champion and shit. All respect to Glover, but
yeah, he's a legend, but he was 43 at the time or whatever he was. Yeah, Uncle Aya would probably be the champ right now or some shit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so looking forward to this one. Great fight. These obviously Ortega and Lopez and Pereira and Yuri, those are a lot of fights with obviously huge stakes. So can't wait for this one. Any 306 news?
Yeah, so nothing like what I was hoping for. They said we were going to get some news tonight. It turns out that it was just this. UFC 306 will be rebranded to Rydia Season Noche UFC. For anyone that doesn't know, Rydia is some Saudi or some sort of Middle Eastern type thing. I don't want to get my details wrong, but basically that same guy I was telling you about last night, the one that's trying to make moves over there in Saudi Arabia, he's doing some more.
So the Rydia season is like a company or what?
Yeah, they're sponsoring it, I guess. So it kind of makes me think we might get 3 title fights.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, so basically no news that we didn't know already besides the fact that the Saudi Arabias are getting their dirty hands involved now.
Damn, they couldn't even give us Mexicans one day.
That's what all the comments were saying. They said, we're going to have an American and a Georgian headlining the Mexican independence fight sponsored by Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Disrespectful to y'all, man. Disrespectful.
Hoping they come out with some names in a little bit though. I'm excited to see that one.
Marab, he said on a UFC show that it's him and Suga, and then Tim commented on a post of that news about 30 minutes ago and said, "Can't wait to see Suga sleep Marab in this fear." So obviously that's not official, but I would say 90 to 80% right now that Suga and Marab will be on that card. Hopefully, since the Saudis are involved, we could get Max Elia headlining and have 3 title fights on there because Grasso and Shevchenko are definitely on that thing. But yeah, man, I'm excited for that card. That's the next one that gives me chills, to be honest. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of great fights between now and then, but that's the next card that gets me going. Let's get your bets up here. I kind of skipped a beat with that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. My fault. So before we end the night here, we're gonna go Buena Silva to win -110, 100 to win 90. Then we're going to take a stab at Buena Silva by sub plus 285, 50 to win 112. We love that Anthony Smith line, like we said earlier. So we're going to go Anthony Smith to win plus 125, 50 to win 62. Throwing big money on Diego Lopez here. Don't let me down, buddy. My first big bet on you. -150, risking 150 to win 100. And then we have to bet on Poetan because if I don't and he wins, I'm going to be upset at myself. So we're going to take Poetan -135, 100 to win 74. That's our card for the week.
I feel like you're almost kind of in a lose-lose spot with that Poetan Yuri fight now because you're like at yourself either way. Like if Yuri wins, you're gonna be like, "Fuck, I knew it." But then if I guess Poetan wins, you'll be happy because you bet on it. But
yeah, so that's my card. So excited for this one. Can't wait to watch it.
I'm excited, and I'm gonna post some more bets on our IG once my specialty comes out, the fighter to win and round 2 or round 3 to start. You know I love those, so I'm gonna put some of those up on our IG. I'm excited, man. Sucks we won't be together for this one, but we'll be texting. Maybe we could go live on IG during one of the fights or something like that, just to keep the tradition going.
Facts, yes, sir.
All right, then I'll talk to you on the other side.
All right. Everybody enjoy